Hello, my name is Megan Kelly from Channel 15 Fox News. I'm here today with Alexandra Janka, a pro-Ukrainian voter, discussing the devolutionary events in Ukraine, especially the peninsula of Crimea. It's very nice to have you here. Thank you for coming.
It's very nice to be here, Megan. Thank you for having me.
Throughout the past few months, there has been much chaos in Ukraine between the pro-Russian Crimea and Ukrainian forces. How did this event occur in the first place?
The crisis in Crimea began in early April 2014. However, problems in Ukraine began about a year earlier in November 2013 when our president, Viktor Yanukovych, announced it was abandoning an important agreement that would further strengthen ties with the European Union. Many Ukrainian citizens were in favor of this agreement, and because it was broken, many rebellions and protests began to occur.
We know that Eastern Ukrainians, pro-Russians, and Crimeans make up this conflict. What stance and position do they take?
The pro-Russians and Crimeans want to unite with Russia and are fighting alongside Russian troops to gain total control over the Crimean Peninsula. On the other hand, Ukrainian forces are working to stop Russian troops from further invading and are working to gain back control. They do not want Crimea to secede from Ukraine. This event is being driven by the revolution that occurred in Ukraine and Russia's desire to gain control of Crimea's important trading and military ports.
Alexandra, what is your belief on this conflict?
I personally am against Vladimir Putin and the pro-Russian government he is trying to implement. I believe if Eastern Ukraine and Crimea decide to secede from our country, this will only make Russia more powerful and more of a threat to the rest of the world. Also, Putin will look to gain control of other countries and spread his corrupt government.
What destruction or unrest have the pro-Russian Crimeans caused?
Pro-Russian rebels, which are also known as separatists, have been fighting against Ukrainian government troops in eastern Ukraine. Now the Ukrainian army is fighting with Russian supporters, and there are concerns it may lead to war. Russian President Vladimir Putin then sent thousands of soldiers into Crimea, stating he needed to protect Russian people who live there. The situation in Ukraine has worsened. However, I believe the unrest began when former President Viktor Yanukovych's government announced it was abandoning an agreement that would strengthen ties with the EU, causing a revolution and protest, as we discussed earlier.
What should the Ukrainians do to stop this conflict and to prevent further issues?
First, the Ukrainians sent forces to eastern Ukraine and Crimea and worked to regain control. There was also a vote taken to see what percentage of citizens wanted to secede from Ukraine and what percentage of citizens wanted to stay a part of Ukraine.
This crisis has caused numerous rebellions. Can you share your knowledge on this issue?
Many people are scared of the pro-Russian governments and Vladimir Putin, causing them to flee their homes. Fighting has also resulted in the death of more than 400 people in eastern Ukraine. Russia still persists on gaining more of Ukraine with the help of rebel separatists, while Ukrainian troops work to defend their country.
What happens in the election that occurred in Crimea a few months ago?
While only 30% of citizens in Ukraine voted, 96% voted to become a part of Russia. In result of the turnout, many have speculations that the votes have been tampered with. Rather than offering a range of plausible opposition candidates, the voting for members of parliament and heads of state in breakaway regions of eastern Ukraine were significant for highlighting Ukraine's loss of control over these territories and Russia's strengthening influence. Russia has said it will recognize the results, while Ukraine, along with the European governments and the United States, has said it will not, maintaining that the elections violated a ceasefire agreement signed in September.
What do you think will be the end result in this conflict?
I believe Vladimir Putin and Russia will look to expand its global power by taking over other satellite countries and keeping control of eastern Ukraine and Crimea. I believe Crimea will remain a part of Russia unless their military forces can regain control over the crucial ports and drive Russia out of eastern Ukraine. Hopefully, Crimea will remain a part of Ukraine as it is important for Ukraine's economy and well-being.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. It was so nice to have you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Hopefully these problems in Ukraine will be resolved soon peacefully and without too much destruction. Thank you for watching. I'm Megan Kelly from Channel 15 Fox News. Tune in tomorrow night for more coverage on this crisis in Ukraine. Good night.